What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and we're back in the office, mainly because I didn't know where to film this. I was like struggling to decide whether I wanted to film this outside, and I just got back from getting my haircut, so I was like, it's getting dark out, so it's either I film it out there with the truck, or I film it in here, so I chose to film it in here. So, yeah, we're in the office. Today's video is on a car that's near and dear to my heart on the American side of things. A lot of you guys know I'm like in the middle. I like domestics, and I love Japanese cars. So I'm very big on that on both sides of the field, but one of my favorite American cars is, of course, the Corvette, and as the title suggests, we're talking about the C8. Is it going to be a flop or success? It's pretty much in the same aspect as the Explorer ST video, which did poorly, but this is the car people actually care about. No one really cares about the Explorer ST but me. So is the C8 going to be a flop or success? I'm going to kind of go through a couple scenarios, then how I think it'll be a flop or a success. So let's get into that. We're going to start with some flops. So I feel like if they did this route with the C8, it would definitely be a flop, and that would be they made the price too high. If they made the price too high, no one's going to want to buy it, and if they're charging C7 ZR1 level prices for the base C8 Stingray with the LT2 motor that has been rumored to be in existence, then obviously, I mean, no one's going to want to buy it because they're just going to buy the C7 ZR1, which makes 700 horsepower and the same price. So I think if they hike the price way too up, if they pull an Apple and decide to charge like way too much for a computer or for the car, obviously, then no one's gonna want to buy it. They'll buy older stuff like I'm doing. Anyway, computer comparisons aside, like I was saying, C8's price, if it's too high, it'll definitely be a flop because not a lot of people are gonna be able to afford it, and a lot of people are gonna be like, well, if I'm paying this kind of money, I can just get a C7 ZR1. So what about a success? If they offer a manual. Now, I know automatics are getting faster and faster every year, but there is a bunch of Corvette purists, and manual purists for that matter, insert Hayden here, where, you know, obviously automatic only is a bit of a turnoff. We have cars like the GT500 that are auto only, and many of the Mustang community, people like It's Just a Six have been mentioned in videos, where they were thinking about buying one, but with the fact that it's going to be auto only, it steered them away. And don't get me wrong, the Getrag 7-speed dual clutch is probably going to be fantastic in that car. But, or Trinic, I forget who makes the 7-speed dual clutch in the GT500. I think it's Getrag, but obviously, it's not a manual car. People want that manual experience. They're going to probably go elsewhere for their performance car needs. And they have the C701, which is considerably more expensive, but it's still an option. So, I mean, I think if they do the same thing as that, the new Supra, another example, auto only, as far as we know, right now. It's not going to sell as well as it would if it had a manual option, no doubt in my mind, because the enthusiast-minded people that are manual purists are going to be like, well, I like how the car looks, and it's got a manual, let's go. Obviously, if they're looking into Corvettes, they look at the C8 and see if it's auto only, they're like, well, I really want a manual. C7 ZR1, I'm using that as another example. Or that's just the C7 line in general. Well, why buy the C8 that's extremely expensive and is only available in automatic when I, as a manual purist, I'm playing a part here, would go and buy an old C7 for a lot less money and with a manual. I feel like that's going to be the mindset. I apologize for I'm having allergy issues. I think that this is going to be the mindset of those manual purists that are looking at the C8 and they're just like, well, it doesn't have a manual. As far as we know right now, the rumors are it's going to be running an 8-speed dual clutch. There are currently no signs of a manual version yet. So I'm hoping that they obviously fix that, because I think that's going to be a really big turnoff from the C8 is that they don't offer a manual. Because, I mean, the Corvette has always had a manual option. And yeah, like I was saying, automatic's getting faster and faster every year. But it doesn't beat the old-fashioned mechanical feel with the car in a manual. And a lot of people are going to be looking for that specifically with the C8. Let's talk about a flop. If it looks like crap. From what the renderings have shown, 90% of the renderings have not given the car justice enough. It's awesome that people are trying to put renders out already, but I feel like if it's designed anything similar to the 2019 Camaro and 2020 Silverado, it's gonna be just disgusting. And honestly, at that point, I'd rather have the renders. And honestly, that's why I'm like saying I wouldn't pick the renders right now, so I don't know what the car looks like. Obviously, it's in a bunch of camouflage. And Hopefully, in time, we'll see the car and we'll get to look at its exterior and be like, oh, okay. And hopefully it's good. I think if it's styled ugly, if it's like a departure and then they ruin the C7's good looks, I feel like it's going to be just a downgrade and it's going to make the car flop. And people are going to still, again, go buy the better looking C7. That's why I've seen a recent resurgence in like late 5th gen Camaros and early 6th gen Camaros, because the 19 is just that gross. And I rarely ever see 19 Camaros. I see a lot of the 15 to 17 models, or the 15 to 18, but anything after that I don't ever see on the road. So obviously that shows something there. So hopefully they don't make it look ugly, because I think that could be obviously a massive turnoff. I mean, look at the Aztec. The Aztec was ugly, no one bought it. But yeah, another success if they continue the trend of making them fast. And I know that's kind of a given with the Corvette, but I do not expect a C7 or C8, Z06, and Z01 to be absent from the lineup. I expect them completely wholeheartedly to be there in the lineup. But I'm just saying, just to get out of the way, that if a Z06 and a Z01 exists, there's no doubt in my mind the C8 Corvette will be one of the best American mid-engine cars since the first Ford GT. Because I like the second generation Ford GT. It's a cool car. But as far as V8's mid-engine American goes, we only have one car, and that was the GT. I think we had a couple here and there in the 90s. I forget what they're called, Vector or something like that. They weren't V8s, obviously, but they were mid-engine American cars, which just seems to be a rarity in general. We had the Fiero. That was like the last like consumer mid-engine car, and ironically, it was also a GM product. That's another thing, I guess. Don't make it like the Fiero. Make it more reliable than the Fiero, obviously, which isn't hard to do. So yeah, success would be to keep the high-end performance versions going. So flop, and this one's not pertaining to GM in particular, but to the industry as a whole, and that is the aftermarket sucks. Because I feel like the C8 is going to be hard. It's obviously going to be harder to work on than the C7 would be, because of that change from front to mid-strip layout. I think it's obviously going to be a bit more difficult to work on having the engine behind your head and having to do a lot more work to tear into it than it would be to just take the hood off, take the front clip off, and you're good to go. That being said, I'm afraid of the industry being like, oh, this Corvette's too hard to work on, and there's not going to be as much mods for it as, let's say, the C7 was. Now, I expect there to be mods for it, obviously. It's a Corvette. There are tons and tons of places to go. Vengeance Racing, Holly, the LSX Experts guys. I mean, just all those, like, big Chevy kind of guys that specialize in the LS and LT motors. I do not expect them to hold back on the C8. But I'm afraid of just, in general, like the same level of mods, especially if the C6 was concerned. I wanted to stay kind of where that was, the C6 and C7 range when it came to mods. That's what I'm afraid of it just plateauing off just because it'd be a little more harder to work on. So say for our final success would be to make the interior better than the C7. The C7 was just such a drastic departure from the C6's interior. All the American companies in the last 5 years have really fixed their interiors. If you were to look at a 2005 to 2009, 2010, I think, Charger, and look at a brand new one today, the interiors are so much better than they were in that time period. The Mustang. Take an 05 to 09 Mustang, go to an 11 to 14, and then jump to an S550, and you'll see the same drastic difference. I mean, granted, they're changing with the times. As time goes on, technology advances, yada, yada, yada. But obviously, the Corvette did the same jump. The C5's interior was pretty good for the time. The C6's interior was a little bit underwhelming. I mean, there was parts bend, it was a bunch of hard plastics, and it had a cobalt steering wheel. Now, obviously, if you're buying a Corvette, especially like the Z06 and the Z01 from the C6 generation, you're obviously not concerned about having a cobalt steering wheel. You're concerned about the power plant. But the C7 was just such a drastic upgrade on the interior side of things that I would love to see that continue in the C8. I want the C8 to be a step above the C7. I want it to be, you know, as little hard plastics as possible. Obviously, the car is going to need to be on a budget because they don't want to be spending $300, $400 grand on a Corvette. So obviously, they're going to be needing to cost cut a little bit on the interior. But I would like to see it a little bit less plastic than was in the C7. The C7 doesn't have a lot of hard plastics as it is. Trust me, I've seen a C7 and the interior up close. I know what they look like. So I think the C8 should make, if it's going to be a success, it needs to up the interior quality from the C7. So, with all that said, as it sits right now with the C8, do I think it's going to be a flop or success? I honestly think it's still going to be a success because the car is it's the Corvette heritage. It's the first of its kind as a mid-engine Corvette. It's obviously going to be a novelty to some people because who knows? Maybe they do this one generation and the C9 goes back to front engine. I mean, it's just so much riding on the C8 right now, and I feel like it's still going to be a success just due to the novelty. It's a mid-engine Corvette alone. I mean, there's already mid-engine Corvettes out there. The Corvette Daytona in particular, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm a Ford guy. I'm not big in the Corvette world. I know generation codes and LSs, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the Corvette Daytona race car, I think that's mid-engine. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It just looks like it. So as a road-going Corvette, this will be our first mid-engine car from them. And I feel like that Chevy is going to, of course, really put time into making the new C8 something special. So I honestly don't expect them to hold back. One last flop to go over, and this is something I actually saw on Facebook, was someone wanted to see a V6 or like something around that size in the Corvette. That's a massive flop right there. The Ford GT did it right. They put a good V6 twin turbo motor in the Ford GT. I was a little bit disappointed at first, but they kind of had to with how the GT was designed. They obviously couldn't fit the 5.2 and the Coyote in it, so they needed to go smaller. So that's where the 3.5 came into play. I feel like if they did anything less than a V8 in the new Corvette, it would be kind of just an instant flop. Because no one wants to drive a Corvette that doesn't have a V8 in it. That's kind of been their staple. Minus the C1, the original C1s, I believe. They've always had V8s in them. So why would Chevy stop now? Obviously, I get it. Downsizing is the trend right now for fuel economy. But it would just be wrong to not have a V8 in a Corvette. But besides that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on if I think the C8 will be a flop or success and some scenarios on how I think it would be a flop or success. Now, keep in mind, this is all personal opinions. Maybe you guys have different opinions. Maybe you guys think auto only would be the route to go. Maybe you guys think that making it extremely hard to work on would be the way to go, or various other ways to go about things. So, of course, if you have any cool ideas on what you think would be a flop for the C8 and a success for the C8, let me know in the comments. I love reading this kind of stuff, and it always gives me cool ideas. If you guys want to see a video on a new flop and success video, let me know which car you want me to do it on, because I need to do the Supra and the No, I've done the GT500 already. So, I can do the Supra. I can do any like other modern brand new cars you guys want me to shoot a video on. I can do the I can't do the Ranger because it's already out, but I'm talking about cars that are on the way and haven't arrived on showroom floors yet. So let me know what kind of cars you want me to do flop and success videos on, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content in general. I have my truck that I'm building right now in case you guys are new. So be sure to go follow me on Instagram and all that crap, and I will see you guys later. Yeah.